And to confirm, we are live.
Boom! What's going on, everybody? Oops. When you somehow tuck your shirt into your pants, that was weird. My overshirt. Alright. Anyway. Cool. What's going on? Good to see everybody's here. Oh, wow. There's like more people chatting than I was expecting to read immediately. But good to see you guys. We'll just wait a second as people come running on in. Now, I did ask everybody on Discord for today what exactly they wanted to do first, and I'm pretty sure everybody said they want to do this guy. So that's what we're doing. We're going to paint this guy up first. Of course, we're doing the undead kit, so they're all undead and crazy looking. I can see my hot water trick has given up all hope here after painting this guy like a month or more ago. But so we're going to be tackling this guy out today. Not too crazy of a paint job. You know, pretty standard undead lichy guy. We're going to try and make it a little bit more exciting. Other miniatures in the kit, though, of course, include this awesome Crusader. We also have the hero miniature here. You know, she's holding up her lantern, looking all official. And then, you know, of course, the fun mini, the whatever it is. I don't know what this is. What is this? Is this a 3-headed Facebook post? I don't know. But either way, everybody's excited about it, so we're going to be able to work on it and make it happen. Over the weekend, last weekend, of course, we had our $5 Patreon class, and we learned how to do realistic wood. Wow. So we painted up a cart. You know, nothing crazy, but it was all about varied texture, different things like that. Met the metal in different ways, which was interesting. So on some, we painted the metal parts just completely the rust effect, and then added the metal on the edges later. And then on other portions, like this portion, we painted it metal first and then weathered it down. So we just kind of had fun with it. But a really good miniature. Ooh, sorry, for the you know, basic $5 paint along stuff that we do every single month. So remember, if you want to check that out, you can go to patreon.com/minipaintingstudio. And then, of course, this week we're going to be finishing up the skin and or, you know, actually I changed my mind. I think this week we're going to be tackling the non-metallic metal on the shoulder pad there. But we're continuing our sort of advanced series working on the Big Bones King of Hell miniature as well. Those are for the Atelier tier people on Patreon, so that's exciting. And then the weekend of the 30th, we will be working on the big dumpster. And so we'll be doing, you know, weathered paint on the outside of the dumpster, different rust effects, oil, grime. We're going to do some freehand graffiti. And then I also have some fire to put inside the dumpster. So it'll say 2020, and it'll be a big dumpster fire. So that should be pretty cool. If I can get like a tea candle or a little tea light so I can make it actually light up, then that will be perfect, most likely. So, but that is pretty much it. I know everybody's excited for Sunday. We have the first Hobby at Home stuff going on sale for the people on Patreon. There also will be a kit. There we go. There will also be a specialty one for the first time. It'll come with a hat and a special branded mask. You can see the mask right here. I had another one made. These are really high quality with nylon outsides. They have a filter pocket, so inside of this one I have tucked. It has a metal nose bridge and everything, so you can wash it. And then, of course, I just have my other disposable mask on the inside. So they work really, really well for airbrushing. I've been using this one for airbrushing rather than my old school, or not old school, but more valuable N95 one that I used to use. So I have a mask and a hat that both have the Hobby at Home stuff. So keep an eye out for that. Remember, Patreon people will have first access to those classes. There are going to be 2 classes available, 10 seats in each one. So when it actually goes on sale later on the month to just the general public, they may be totally sold out. Either way, nana nana boo boo, good luck for everybody getting a slot in those. I did announce those miniatures will be painting up the Treasure Rocky and the Graveyard Golem. So those will be the 2 miniatures that we end up going for first. But anyway, now that we've been kind of hanging out here, we can go ahead and get started. So this kit comes with some good colors. Definitely a good sort of muted palette for all of your undead painting needs. But I'm going to go ahead and start with our aged pewter here. Go ahead and give that a nice spin. a nice spin. But I hope you guys had a good weekend. Oh man, time just seems to be flying. I know everybody's excited because they announced the ReaperCon classes. So definitely go and check out that schedule. I'm definitely looking forward to supporting my good buddies that'll be doing some classes and some things like that. So that's definitely exciting. Good to see Ken here. I saw Ken's cool little diorama he just finished up. It looks really awesome. Good use of color. As per usual, that seems to be Ken's new direction, is saturated settings. Reminds me a lot of German Impressionism. Not the detail, but just like the color intensity and palette. But, alright, so we're going to be painting all of the armor here for the most part. We will be leaving some parts off, and we'll be using our gold, but otherwise, everything is going to be rocking out with this. Now, one change that I do want to make, this kit does come with a flesh wash. That's the first time I decided to include a wash in our kits, so I figured, hey, I didn't do it on the first time around, but that paint job was also so relatively quick and easy that I think we can do a flesh wash, then use the Dusky Skin Shadow to shade things out further. Now then, Justin's AFK currently, but we just replicated the same settings as last time, so whenever he's here and chatting or doing whatever, you guys should hear that. And then, since no one really cares about the music one way or the other, and since it always seems to interfere somehow with his chat, I'll just leave it off on these streams. Of course, I have all of the licensed music and stuff like that on everything else that I do, but just to save the technical headache, we'll just avoid it on all of our lessons here. So, but let me know in the chat if you guys painted up anything fun this weekend, or if you started any new projects, anything like that at all. I know some people are getting excited about the ReaperCon, what are they calling it? The painting showcase or whatever. It'll be cool to see who's judging any of that stuff. I don't think I'm going to have anything to submit this year. I know that I was thinking of submitting the Bones 5 Shadow Dragon and some other stuff like that. I just don't think I'm really going to do anything. I don't need the added stress. So you assembled the cart. There you go. The Great Salmon. Yeah, I'm just not going to do anything really. I mean, if there's no I would rather kind of save those pieces for an in-person painting competition type of thing, because I feel like that kind of is easier to kind of pick up nuances of stuff. So, but I just don't need the added stress, pretty much. There's no way I can finish anything in that time frame with what I need to do for all the future Miniature Monday kits, as well as finishing everything out this month for the Hobby at Home stuff. But not a typical year, so I'm not too concerned. It's alright. As far as I'm concerned, this year doesn't really count for anything. So just throwing down a base layer here on the sword. What's cool about this color too, I actually end up using it on the other armor, on the hero and the paladin NPC or whatever, but then we just highlight it up with honed steel. The difference now on this guy is that we don't do that added step. We bring it back to the same color, so it just appears more weathered, aged, angry, depressed, whatever fun adjective you want to use for an undead lord of his stature. And I'll go ahead and do this weapon too, just to kind of set it up. Oh, I don't know if Justin's here, but technically, since the Undead kit has now started, do you guys want to see the ReaperCon kit? Since I always release the image the second another kit's done, so I haven't shared this with anybody yet, period. You guys will be the first to see it. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Let me see. Let's see what we got. So this is the ReaperCon exclusive kit. So Spoilers, it does include the Reapercon Sophie. So if you've ever wondered how to paint a Sophie, guess what? We're doing it. There it is, guys. So I hope you enjoy that. I had a pretty good time painting up the miniatures. I honestly feel like this kit is better than most that we've done previously, but I also decided to make things a little bit more difficult depending on sort of like where we push things. So the color palette selection is really cool. Obviously, you can tell there's quite a difference between the no Nomad. Her eyes aren't closed; they're just sculpted kind of weird. To be honest, like the left and right eye don't really match. So the cheek is kind of more rounded in terms of like the smile, and then on the other side, so like our right hand side right there, it's flatter. So if you're wanting to do the eye and do both of them, one of them is extremely thin, so doesn't really matter. Obviously the Bones Pirate to the right of the Sophie miniature, he has huge eyes, so it's way easier to get done. And then obviously the big dude on the left, huge eyeballs. So but anyway, so we've got that. I really like the Kelpies. The Kelpies are really fun because we're actually doing like two different tones of green. So one of them is obviously a super warm green on their flesh and bodies. And then it's sort of a more cool tone green on the vegetation. And then the hair has that same sort of reddish brown washed in. And then the Teak Champion, or whatever it's called, on the left there, the big fish dude, the not a Murloc. He's a lot of fun. That sculpt is really, really good for doing different layering and things like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But I think we will have a fun time. So the only thing I'm doing with ReaperCon at all this year is just the Miniature Monday episode. So definitely, if you're gonna be hanging out for Miniature Monday or hanging out for the convention, that'll be doing it. Is there a basing video with this kit? No, there's no base. It's just sand. Nothing fancy. Just looks like queso, pretty much. But, so yeah, there you go. That is the ReaperCon kit. If you are already getting, so if you're getting like any of the swag boxes, I think you'll get the ReaperCon Sophie. She's 2 pieces. The wings, I believe, are 1 piece, maybe 2. Oh no, I think both of the wings are independent. But I didn't do anything I didn't do any pinning. They go in really, really easily, and that's pretty much it. So everything else is 1 piece, if I remember right. I don't think you have to assemble the Teak Champion. I'm pretty sure he's all 1 piece. But anyway, I figured everybody would be excited about that. So now then, that was all dry. So let's go ahead and get our gold out there. So antique gold is what we always use. Now then, I did some reorganizing of all my paints this weekend, or actually yesterday, because I had to do a makeup private lesson. We're working on some Night Haunt stuff from Games Workshop, but I think I ditched it. So what I will do, I think the gold went bad. It was just, I forgot to put a cap on or something, and it was just such an old bottle, I didn't really care. So I'm going to use Dragon Bronze, but any gold that you want, just pretend this is from the core kit. If you have the kit from last week, it works. So, but let's go ahead and take your gold, and we'll do all of the accents with this color as well. So we'll do the little scale mail stuff here. And then there's a trim on the outfit. Or at least on this little whatever part. So we'll go ahead and pretend that this is metal to make it look cool. You know what? Actually, let's do the... how did I do it previously? Yeah, let's do the whole thing. We're just going to make some slight changes on this paint job to make it a little bit more dynamic. We always try and make them look cooler. Now, I will say, with the Sophie paint job for ReaperCon, that'll probably change a little bit. The Teak Champion, though, that's going to stay the same for sure. Just kind of out of timing. It is a larger miniature, and we have to do a lot of layering. The blue color that I used for that is a pretty thin pigment. So...
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you. I'm pretty sure everybody can hear you.
Oh, I asked because I have the stream audio on, but like normal
Normal audio is not coming through the Discord.
Yeah, I have push to talk on Discord. So I'm sure that was confusing. But you guys should be able to hear Justin this week, right? Pretty sure we figured it out.
Yeah, it sounds like they can hear me.
And then we are going to do this little skull here on this pauldron. And actually, I kind of like using this dragon bronze instead of the ancient gold. Obviously, you can use whatever gold you got. It would also look really good if you had dragon copper, dwarven bronze, ancient bronze. You know, there's so many. You can even use scorched metal. Honestly, if you've been buying these kits over time, and anytime we go to a gold or whatever, we've included enough to where you can just kind of substitute whatever. But this paint job would fare well with it. Fare well? It would do well with any of those decisions. Back of the head, and then his little Wolverine prongs. I don't know what we call those things, man. His crown, his Dust King crown. I don't know. I think that's what that is. Make sure you're getting plate mail in his arms there, the sleeves, and then we'll go ahead and paint the handle and everything. And then let's go ahead and do this top handle section and then the bottom knob. The bottom mace knob. It's actually a industry term there. Alright. So, we can actually wash from this step. We do have our flesh wash here, so I'm going to give that a nice spin. Excuse me. Now then, this flesh wash is really kind of like the major trick that we're going to be using on the skeletal chimera. But today we're just going to use it to sort of tint our metallics here. The wash does dry kind of like satiny, so the trick that I have to combat that is that we're going to apply this first and then use the dusky, musty shadow color to then remove some of the shine that it's inevitably going to add. But even though it is a straight from the bottle wash, I am going to add 1 brush full of water. Thank you, Hatter. 8 months subscribed. Very exciting. Remember, you can always subscribe for free using your Amazon Prime account if you got one by hitting that subscribe button on Twitch. And you can link your account. And bada bingus, bada boongus, there you go. So I'm just applying it on top of the gold there. You can see it makes a nice warm transition. In terms of using this for actual flesh, I don't even think I used it on the flesh on the hero miniature, so I don't have a direct review there. But if you're using something like fair skin or even tanned skin is probably as dark as you would go if you're wanting to use this wash, it would work out great for you. So nice warm tone tint, I should say. But I'm going to put this on top of all of our metal. Nice and liberal application. And I'm not really applying so much. They're going to be waiting for the next hour for it to dry, necessarily. But enough to get in the recesses, so that way, when we come back with the darker wash, it should work nicely for us. And we'll let that hang out and dry. It's relatively dry in our house right now. Normally, whenever the humidifier is kicked on, it always says it's at like, I don't know, usually around like 55 to like 60% humidity at night. And it was at like 43 this morning. So it's just super hot and super dry. So things are drying for me pretty quickly. Even on the wet palette, of course. Now then, too, I know a lot of people have been asking, because I had initially, in-person ReaperCon, I was going to do the wet palette classes, and then I was also going to do 2 really high-level classes for ReaperCon online. It just didn't work out. So the wet palette stuff, and then the both miniatures that I was going to do those classes on are now going to be hobby at home classes. So if you were really interested in getting to do that stuff, it will be even better now for you. Now then, release-wise, I don't know when that's going to happen. I'll probably have those sort of scheduled and finished and painted up and whatever, probably in a month, if I had to guess. How hot is it here today? Let me see. I'll tell you. I know today was real hot. Let's see what it says. 97 degrees. Heat index of I don't want to go outside. Is that how the weather works? I'm pretty sure. The Weather Channel website is so bad. What is going on just like now? There you go. Okay. And it doesn't... Oh, okay, there you go. So the heat index is 105, 106. So that's pretty cool. And then, yeah, the humidity outside is 40%. So that should tell you. That's what we're dealing with. All week it's going to be pretty dry. So I'm just going to take the Dusky Skin Shadow. Make a wash out of that, 1-to-1. Now I'm not waiting 100% for the previous wash to dry. We don't necessarily need to. And what I'm paying attention to most, really, is the area of the application. So I'm going for underneath the arms, and then in between anywhere the armor is meeting another piece of armor, because I would rather have a shift between these colors than anything else. So I'm just washing it all down. And then we'll go back in and highlight things up, of course, later. This application will probably take longer to dry, just on general principle, of course, of us applying more second time around. Alright. Surface of the sun. It's pretty hot. Alright, layering that into the back. Like so. So really, you know, we've got a mix between that nice reddish hue and then this very dull out darker gray. Now, of course, we can go back to darker once we start working on some of the other elements on the miniature, so we can add in noir black, wash that in. We'll probably end up doing that anyway, because some of the brown isn't bright enough by comparison to allow the dusky skin shadow and everything to work the same way it will on the aged pewter, which is all of the silver stuff that we're seeing here today. Cool. Alright, so I'm fine with that. We're going to let all that hang out. Now then I'm going to grab intense brown, so that way we can start working on all of the leather bits. I like using that. It's so funny. Alright, so how is Arthur? Arthur's alright. He's definitely happy to be inside, I'm sure.
I like that picture you posted of him. It was adorable.
Oh, he was on Sydney's keyboard. Was it the one earlier today?
Yeah. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I'm happy too because he and Tally are like not mortal enemies right now. So like every day we're allowing them to kind of be not just straight up loose around each other, but one of them will be loose, and then one of us will hold the other one, get them pretty close to each other. So they're not like trying to kill each other like they were previously. So I think, who knows, maybe in like a month, both of them can be next to each other in the house. Radical, I know, but we've been having to keep them separated this entire time we've lived here. So it feels like a monumental success so far. But I don't think I've really shown pictures of Tally. She does come and hang out in here. She'll lay with me, like in the little cat tower next to me. But she's more of the rat. She's the rat of the house. We always joke about it because she'll eat scraps that she finds on the table and whatever. This dagger handle and all this, I'm just going to paint this entire section brown. We'll sort it out after we wash it down. I'm not too concerned. And then I think, let me see how I did that. Yes. So I'm also going to use intense brown to do all the base coating on our fur trim here. Now then, looking at what we've got, so we did sort of a dark brown and then a gray. I think I want to go green, actually. So we're going to make a slight diversion from the plan. Alright, so I'm going to take our pale lichen color and get it out on the palette. Oop. So I'm going to mix this in with the dusky color to kind of make a very dark muted gray. And I'm going to go ahead and apply this to all of the robe here. Now then, 1-to-1 ratio. So I am utilizing the zenithal a little bit, but we're going to wash this down, re-highlight it up. I think we're going to go really bright with this, actually. We're going to make a radical change because it was that sort of dark purple from the dusky skin. And that color is interesting, too, because it's like a very light drow nipple pink. Or, sorry, very dark. That was the complete opposite word. Actually, I have it right here. For those of you that have never had the chance to go to a ReaperCon, this is always a sought after color, and it is a pretty good color. You can use it for shading metals, anything like that. We'll go ahead and drop some on the nail there. It's a good color, but I know that they're selling that or including that as a part of something for ReaperCon. So now's your chance if you've never been able to get some before. But it's a good color to work with. Alright. Oh, looks like I forgot to do that interior portion. Let me do that really quick. There we go. Oops. Up, come on. Come on. Let's see. Is there a bad color to work with? Yeah, there's plenty. There are plenty of colors that are bad, but it's only it's not the color's fault. I would say it's like a pigment issue. You know? So, like, when people struggle with yellow or coverage on a red, something like that, right? It's not really an issue with the color itself because, you know, through enough application and, you know, coverage or whatever, it can look great, right? So, really, it's just like it's just the nature of the pigment and the paint itself in order to create some of the hues. But they're, you know, any difficult color that you can think of traditionally, so yellows, whites, reds, some greens are very difficult to work with because the pigment's very transparent almost. I would say those are bad, quote unquote, to work with just because they're more difficult to deal with. But of course, you know, like on Patreon, we have entire 2-hour videos demystifying how to work with certain colors and difficult colors and how to prep other colors underneath, etc., to make them work, because there's plenty of ways to make your life easier as a painter, which obviously makes you better at painting and more creative because you're more relaxed. It's always kind of the key. As long as you're getting results you're expecting, usually you're happier with your work. 9 times out of 10, right? If you're like, I don't like what I painted, it's because you got results you weren't expecting. So I always try and let new painters know that, right? Like, your expectations that don't align with color application or color mixing, it's happening because you don't necessarily have the functional knowledge of, like, preparatory steps, things like that, to make your life a little bit easier. All right, so now that we have that base coat, I'm going to go ahead and take... Now, you know, we could mess with the... But I don't think we should. So I'm going to take Dusky Skin Shadow, and we're going to use our blonde hair, I believe. I believe that's the right one. Is that right? I don't want to say the wrong thing. Wait, where's the picture? Blonde hair? Blonde hair. All right, cool. We're going to take blonde hair. We're going to mix that in. I want to do 50-50. There we go. This is an interesting... So, honestly, like, this is a great example of a color that would be very beneficial for you in terms of, you know, wanting to paint yellow, because there's enough white in the pigment that you have really, really good coverage, and it's yellow tinted enough. Typically, yellow ochres, things like that, are always good. Tans are always good, whatever. But there's enough white in that color that it should make your life relatively easy. I'm going to do the interior of the cloak, and we're going to use it on the back of the cloak too, and we're going to wash everything down. And you can tell too right now, the zenithal isn't showing at all, and this is that, you know, same 1-to-1 ratio that we always use, and that just indicates how much white pigment there is to make it really opaque. So that was a good question. Only because I can demonstrate very immediately, right, without trying, what that sort of answer translates into. Alright, so we'll let all this stuff dry and then we'll wash back down. Let's go back out here. Now then I will get the Noir Black. Make a new little shift over there in our palette. And we just need this stuff to dry a little bit more. Mostly that back cloak. And then we can start building up our fur. Can do the face and the glowing eyes. Glowing eyes. Actually, we can do glowing mouth. Did I do a glowing mouth? Yes, I did do a glowing mouth on the first time around. Which makes sense, right? Because I made sure on these to do, you know, the mouths glowing and everything as well. So Wanted to keep it thematic. Theme-atic? Welcome to the Theme-atic, where we keep our themes. Surplus themes, all year round. Alright. Alright. So, go ahead and mix in our water. So I'm prepping the palette here. So I'm thinking we've got good consistency there. We've got our flubber consistency, as you can tell. Spread it around and it shrinks back together. So I'll just go ahead and start applying this sort of in the front dry areas. So I'll start on the bottom portion of his robes. My consistency looks good. It's dark enough to pool, translucent enough to not really tint down everything too far too quickly. I do want to build up the bottom a lot brighter than it is right now, so that's kind of what I was hoping for. Dirty and wash up all of our leather bits, and then I am going to go ahead sort of re-outline and iterate some of these areas in armor underneath the armpits, everything like that, going back on top of the dusky skin that we applied, sort of in between the joints of all the metal pieces, everything like that. Alright. Fur, back of the cloak, or well, back of the miniature. Hitting the cloak. Capturing all the detail that we can. And I'm just making sure that my surface tension's even in the application. That way we get nice tinting and pooling. We'll let gravity do all the work there. And you can tell too, right? Like I don't really go back for too much of a reapplication. I just move the actual pigment there. I'm not too concerned with a lot of over applying. Okay. Back towards the front here. We'll go on this side. And now we just have a really dingy lich. Not too bad. Alright. Here we are. Cool. So we can approach the metal first. We can do all kinds of things, really. But so to make sure we're nice and dry. So that bottom, you know, the actual robe that he's wearing, his evil lich skirt, right? We're going to be taking that up to more of a pale lichen, and then in the back, you know, honestly, we could take that up a lot brighter, closer to the blonde hair color. So that'd be kind of cool. Actually, what we'll do is we'll highlight that up to train khaki. So that's. We'll know that that's next, and then we'll use the blonde color for the actual fur. So we'll go from brown to blonde. Everything else is going to fall into place. So we can probably, well, parts of the armor are still wet. I'll just grab the airbrush. Use it to dry things off a little bit here. Wowee. Wowee, vibrating the table. There we go. Now it's drying. Very quickly. It's nice when the room's already dry. But that being said, that means I also need to bring in my little humidifier so that I can do some thinner painting later today. I guess is the best way to put it. Some higher level painting. When things are really dry like that, a wet palette's Only so good for you. Only so good. Cool. Well, that helped out immensely. Probably another 20 seconds and we'll be ready to rock and roll. What'd you do today? Well, I watched some dude on Twitch, and he was watching his paint dry, so I was watching him watching paint dry, but I was also watching his paint dry. So I was watching a guy, so I was a guy watching the guy watching paint dry. Does that check out? I think that checks out. Alright. I'm dropping things. Okay. Now then, let's go ahead and work on... What do we want to do first here? We have some options. Let's do the pale lichen. So I still have the color right here that we layered the pale lichen up with, or, well, did the application from. So I'm going to darken it a little bit. Just that way we don't make too big of a jump. I'm going to add a little bit of water, so I'm going to do a brush tip full. That looks good to me. Alright, now then, let's start layering. Look at all of our wash there. Alright. So I'm just taking my highlights and having them follow the flow of the wash, of course. That's why I let gravity do the work, because not only does it then shade things for us, it also tells us where to apply our highlight. Really a double meaning anytime I say that. 2 for 1. 2 for 1 meaning special. Go. Now then, one thing that I do want everybody to do, every single person, otherwise you're dead to me, and I can't be your friend, okay? This is serious. It's really serious. Just kidding, I don't really care that much. But what I asked on my Facebook page earlier today was for people to say why painting, what makes painting fun for you, or what makes it important. And if you don't really have an answer for that, if you can just share one of your favorite recipes. So if you follow my page on Facebook, definitely check that out. I'm just wanting to get sort of feedback on if it's really just sort of like an escape for people, if it's more therapeutic. Everybody seems to have a similarly different answer, so not everybody says the same things, but they're all very sort of, you know, everyone apparently is looking for a way to kind of just get out of their head, get away from problems, things like that. So I am interested to see why people enjoy miniature painting so much, outside of just, well, I like to use miniatures for games, things like that. Or just drop me a fun recipe. You know, it's always cool. But since my schedule has been so terrible lately and I'm just all over the place, you know, I'm not streaming as much as I used to. So now I'm just kind of asking interesting questions. So if you don't follow me on Facebook, definitely check it out. You can just go to fb.com/theminipaintingstudio and hit the like button. That would be great. Even though I know a lot of you guys are already there because you leave comments. That's kind of what I'm polling people this week, is just, what do you enjoy? So I added a little bit more of the pale lichen. Now I'm just layering up. There we are. I had to turn down, well, I'm turning down pretty much all commissions right now, but I had to turn down a Kickstarter commission that's supposed to launch at some point to do the box art for them, but it was kind of crazy because they wanted me to do quite a few miniatures, and they said they wanted it all done in under a month, but commercial quality. I was like, hi, bye, 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 see you later. But the minis look interesting. I forget what it was for. It's like I want to say it's probably like some weird deck building mechanic skirmish game, like a skirmish board game type of thing. But yeah, they didn't really like ask about the turnaround. They just like demanded. I was like, nah, no. Was it Simon? No. Firstly, I would not enjoy working for them, but like, you know, what's crazy, looking at the Massive Darkness 2 miniatures, like, I wouldn't want to do that anyway. They went very, very different. They went a very different direction than the previous game. And having dealt with Massive Darkness and then Zombicide Black Plague and Green Horde and all those minis, I honestly would never want to touch them ever again. Ever. If I never have to touch any Cool Mini or Not miniatures for the rest of my life, unless they're Dark Age miniatures. Caveat that. Dark Age and Wrath of Kings, which are both dead games that they decided to end. But that's pretty much the only caveat. I still think Dark Age minis are some of the best that ever existed towards the end of that line. Just undeniable, beautiful sculpts. And what's crazy too is like the resin that they used at the end. I still haven't seen companies be able to reproduce. So like it's just crazy that was such a high quality product and it just died. But oh well, the game itself was cool, right? But for me, it was the paintability of them. But all right, so now I'm gonna add another brush full. I'm just going slow on this layering. Everything on this miniature was so easy to get the prep going that really we're just gonna take our time highlighting everything else up. Or prep is in the base coats and everything. So I'm just going back in, continuing to highlight up all of our different applications here. You can see it's going pretty well. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, read it. It's like reading a book, and there's something to show for it. Yeah, that is a good way to think about it. You know, honestly, like when I would DM games for my friends in person and everything, that was always one thing that like I learned wasn't really worth my time. Which I know that's not like the best sounding sentence, but the issue is like the issue is that, you know, I would spend a lot of time, like I would paint like a boss monster or just something interesting, and that would be it. It would be very like sparse, the actual stuff that I would prepare for the table, mostly because in D&D you never know what's gonna happen, right? Like you could spend. You know, I could spend a week on a big baddie, right? And I'd be like, ooh, okay, they're going to have this big fight, and then something happens, and it's like 10 minutes of a 4-hour game, right? And then you just feel dumb, because you're like, oh, I just spent all this time for this one thing that we'll never be able to use. Now, what I did enjoy was working on miniatures for their player characters, right? That obviously is extremely rewarding, because they get to enjoy them. Unless it's somebody that wants to paint their own, right? But that part's always cool, because you get to at least reuse the miniature. But that's kind of what always killed me about RPG minis, is that you're like, well, unless it's something very generic like a goblin or an orc or like a used car salesman or a one-to-one sculpture of Justin's left foot, the one that has the fungus issue that's underneath the big toe, and he has it because he doesn't wear slippers when he goes to Korean bathhouses, and we just don't talk about it. But, you know, you can work on that all you want, but you really only get certain, you know, instances you get to use it.
That visual is so gross.
I mean, you're the one that has to live with it, but to each their own. To each their
You're not wrong. It's definitely something I've lived with forever.
own. Yeah, they have a no open-toed shoe policy at Reaper because of Justin. That's why.
And at one point, we couldn't wear shorts to work because of me. That's a true story.
Why? And now I'm interested in that. I haven't heard that story.
To boil it down, the simple answer is that we were putting together some shelves that we put stock on, and I dropped one of the pieces. It gashed my knee open, which would have happened, pants or not. But then the next obvious, response would have just been, "Hey, no more shorts."
Right. That makes sense if you get hurt.
But also it really wasn't that big of a slash. It took like a Band-Aid or two. It was fine.
Honestly, since the game store's there, if anybody ever really got a serious cut, just go and grab the Insta-Set and the super glue out of the dice counter in the front and then just seal that puppy. You'll be okay.
Isn't that why super glue was not invented but made originally?
Yeah, it was I don't know. Well, I don't know if that is the end all be all, but I know that there is one story of it being liquid Band-Aids essentially, because you apply the accelerant and that's what binds the wound to prevent bleeding. Because I know that that's essentially what they have in like field medic kits and stuff. So if you got shot, you just like literally shove the bullet full of it and then you just and it like cauterizes and makes it crazy. It's fun. I do it on the weekends. Oh, guys, did you know Justin is coming to visit? We didn't talk about it. He's going to come visit up here.
Yeah, here at some point. Likely after ReaperCon. Although I have to get that one thing together.
That one thing together? Justin, you're so cryptic. Look, if you want to talk...
Yeah, the thing you sent me a link to that I said I was going to do.
Oh, right. My OnlyFans account. Yeah, look, guys, times are really hard right now, and Justin is helping me set it up, but miniatures isn't the only thing I'll be painting in the future, so...
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Yeah, you thought Hobby at Home was about painting miniatures, huh?
Yeah. Actually, in this circumstance, I did.
That's funny. Alright, so I think we're actually finished with the layering on the cloak. So that's exciting. Now we can move on. Let's rock out with the... Let's see. Alright, so we're going to do the terrain khaki. Or not the cloak, but his whatever robe. I'm just forever going to interchange that word. Alright, so now I'm going to take this color and the initial color we used the base coat with, 1-to-1, same thing that we did previously. Now what's interesting about this palette in general is that we're really left with a lot of different, slightly independent neutral tones. And so that's kind of what we're dealing with here. But it's nothing too crazy. When it comes to fur cloaks, I like to outline the sections. You'll see what I'm talking about here. I'm going to go similarly to skin. I push it up towards any edge that has a separate material, which is what I'm doing here. And that helps kind of pick out the entire thing. No, so what we're talking about, Justin and I, so he's leaving Reaper, and I'm leaving miniature painting in general. And what we've done is we've taken out a loan, and we're opening up a food truck. The food truck is actually going to be serving up different Szechuan style dumplings, and it's going to be called the Dump Truck. So what it is we actually have a dump truck that we've converted into a food truck like setup, and it's really cool. The logo is a garbage guy, but instead of the garbage bag, it's a big dumpling. And we have regular trash day. Trash day gets you 3 dumplings, and then we have big trash day. Big trash day gets you 5 dumplings, and then we also have recycle day, and recycle day is our vegetarian options. But that's going to be our new venture, and I hope you guys are excited to go along on the journey with us. I'm sure it will end extremely well and take us on many delicious adventures. But I'm glad that you guys could be here for the announcement.
I don't hate this idea. I love it, actually. For something you kind of just pulled out, like, bravo.
Now, if only you were a loan manager at a bank, because, like I always like to say, there's no debtor's jail in America, so we can just go take that idea somewhere and see if it has wings. So what's interesting about the top of this cloak is that it actually indents towards the center, so it kind of folds in. So that's why I'm leaving less of a highlight there at the top. Justin got the idea. He's eating out of the dump truck. Yeah, exactly. All right, so highlight that up here. There we are. Cool. Real dusky. So now I'm adding in more of that khaki color. Oh, we're unmedicated. We're unmedicated here. Unless my allergy meds have something cool mixed in, but there's no performance enhancing drug for the jokes, sadly. I think it's just the soul crushing nature of life that gets it there. Oh, I failed today. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I've been failing this whole time. Talking about the soul crushing nature of life. I'll fix it. I'm sorry. I forgot I'm only supposed to stream in the heart glasses from now on. There we go. Now we're back in business. Now the evil Lich King will be filled with lots of joy and love. Highlighting from the top down. I gotta clean up my brush for sure. Okay. There we go. Happy with that. So we have sort of that grayed out tan in the back versus the nice lichen green in the front. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, other than our browns here. So I'm going to go ahead and get out. I'm going to take a very intense brown all over my wet palette. Again, so we're going to come back with our intense brown. I'll pretend I'm Anne. Wait a minute, I have to do it like this. I have to do it off camera, so I'm going to pretend I'm Anne. Intense brown is 9138, I believe. That's my only Anne impression. I think it's pretty spot on. Got a barking dog out there. Karis, why are you barking? Is there somebody here? Is there a person with money in their hand again, like weirdly this morning? Let me see, I'm gonna look at my camera. Mom, get the camera. Somebody here? front door at 118. Nope. Garrus, why are you barking? Stop. There's nothing there. I don't know why you're barking. Alright. That's hilarious. The dog was helping the Anne impersonation. Actually, you're right. I didn't even think about that. Even funnier. Thank you, Garrus. Garrus, come here. There he is. Hey, puppy. He's like, hi, I'm here to help. Alright, so taking Intense Brown, or whatever brown you used, right? This is obviously from the core palette, so if you've got a different brown you enjoy more, then more power to you. But, so we're going to start highlighting up all of our bags and straps. Obviously, if you want to take the paint job further, you can include multiple browns. You can take multiple browns to your miniature to increase the level of visual variance there. But obviously, we rock with one, unless there's sort of one that makes sense in the kit. And this kit doesn't really have any browns. Am I lying? No, I'm not really lying. I mean, we've got the khaki. It's about as brown as we get. And then we have these sideways straps here that are holding on to his knife. So go ahead and take that. A little bit confusing portion there of the sculpt, but it's okay. We'll make it out. All right. And then he has some tassels hanging low, and I don't really know what to do with them other than highlight them like they're leather tassels. So we're just going to, we're going to rock with that. Now then, let's move on to this fur. So first thing I'm going to do, like I always say whenever we're painting fur, just ignore the fact that it's fur at first. Anyway, so we're just really only concerned about little pockets of color and highlight here. So you can see I'm not really trying to do individual strands of fur. I'm just doing implied highlights, doing section by section in the chunks of the fur itself. And then as we move to brighter highlights, we'll section it out from there. Whenever you're doing tabletop painting like we do here on the Miniature Monday stuff, I always like to kind of teach you guys the quickest and easiest way. Because yeah, I mean there are instances where like there are some things where like literally all I'm doing is individual hairs on miniatures, like non-stop individual. Oh my goodness, right? And that's not a lot of fun for most people. So doing implied stuff is usually the easiest way to kind of get done what you need done. Or, if you're a real psychopath, which I've done before as well, taking a miniature that has like no sculpted fur and then building it up from brush strokes, because that takes a real level of self-hate. Just kidding, it takes a lot of dedication. But we're not doing that here on this show for sure, because that just takes too long. So now I'm going to take some of that blonde color, and I'm going to mix in, let's go ahead and just jump up. So I'm going to mix a solid brush full. Hey, it would help if you could see, right? Maybe. There we go. Whoop. There we go. Come on, quit rotating. I swear, I moved the position of this camera since we all, oh, that's what's happening. It's become unscrewed. How do I fix that? Let's see. How do I fix my camera? Like that. Okay, we'll just rotate it. Easy peasy. Alright, so now like I was saying, now that we start moving our way up, now I'm just sort of breaking apart my brush strokes in the highlight areas. The sculpted texture eventually takes over for your eye, so you're not really reliant upon your brush strokes being precise or anything like that. Instead, it just kind of falls together and begins to make more sense. We'll do this part and then I'll flip them around to make sure I'm not for getting too much on the other side, which I'm sure I did there for about 2 seconds. Yeah, alright, so I'm going to turn this around. Don't make me turn this miniature around. We are. Okay. Now then, a really mixed down version. Self-hate and dedication aren't mutually exclusive. Neither is a toilet and going to the bathroom. But we only encourage the use of using a toilet. Alright, so now going back to the brighter color, this is almost that blonde color. Directly. And I'm just loosely following the application of our other highlights. So if I back this out here, whoop, change our focal length. You have to do the sound effects. You can see we just have this nice cascading effect on the fur itself. And we didn't really have to do anything. Now you could dry brush that section. The only issue, of course, is 1, you're going to be dry brushing, and we avoid it. But 2, you're going to possibly interact with the layering we already did on the cloak itself. So I'm not too concerned, but you can always go for it. I feel like that technique is easy enough that it shouldn't be too much of an issue for people, though. All right. Happy enough? Happy enough? So now, I am going to go ahead and take that blonde color, and we're going to paint up the skull here. As scully as it can be. Is that X-Files? I can't really make the synth noise. I want to believe, man. Alright, so we're going to let that dry, and then we will highlight appropriately, and then do our glowing eyes, and then work on the armor, and then we'll be done. I am taking the blonde color, doing final little highlight there on the edge. Do the same thing on the back here. Primitive camping? No, I would never do primitive camping. I've done it once, and it was with the crunchiest granola deadhead weirdo, and I hated most of it because they thought going camping in Oklahoma in the middle of August, where it was like 116 outside, would be a vacation. So, yeah. My camping is going to the very like modern cabins that they've got out here in southwest Oklahoma. Sorry, southeast. Southeast. Southwest, you hit a desert. That's not really as fun. Just spitballing a number, how many models do you paint in an average week? Like nothing. Well, so now, what? So 1, 2 to 3. So between that varies maybe. I don't know. Nowadays it's probably like 10, or so. But in the past, I mean, I've done like. I guess the biggest sort of sitting that I've done all within a week's time would be somewhere around 250 miniatures at like tabletop quality, probably. At sort of like my not highest level, but like really high display level, including non-metallic metal, OSL, all that stuff. I did I did 65 in like 48 hours, but I didn't sleep for like 24 of those hours. So, but that was when I was a moron and I thought you could make a living doing commission painting. But that's just me personally. You really can't do it. So that was just me killing myself and destroying my health, trying to appease people with high turnarounds. So I don't suggest it. It's really bad for you. It's so bad. So bad. Alright, so now we're going to start working on some metal. I just need to make sure we don't actually... We'll just do this right now. I'll take the flesh wash, put it over the skeletal face. But, so like, for example, 2018, I know I painted like 1,000 miniatures. Because I took an inventory of all the commissions that I did. 2018, I worked with, I think, 110 clients. And then 2019, I pulled back a lot, and I worked with like 60 clients. So, but I learned too slow, but relatively quickly at least, that, you know, I should have doubled my prices and taken half the work that I was taking. And even that wasn't enough to make things better, but... Alright. Taking our pewter, which is how rednecks say computer, I'm going to highlight out portions of the blade again. Alright. So you can see I'm highlighting up that top edge on the inside more so than anywhere else, which is pretty typical for the way that we do our true metallic metal stuff that we've been rocking with more so recently. And there you go. Ooh, shiny blade. Do the same thing on this side. But so even though I don't really paint the miniatures I don't paint a ton of miniatures as much, this week specifically, by next Sunday, I need to get 5 plus 24, so 29. So I'll have like 30 miniatures done by the end of the week, which is a bit more than I'm typically used to doing, obviously, nowadays, but it's gotta happen. If it doesn't happen, we've got major problems. Big capital P problems. Okay. So I'm just going through following the highlight pattern left from all of our washing. I'm not really trying to remove the dinge here. I'm just trying to enhance where the dinge didn't really reach, if that makes sense. Just want things to be a bit brighter. There we go. Then, let's see, I need to get more of our gold back out. So whatever you're using for your gold, get that again. Of course, I used Dragon Bronze because I forgot to replace my antique gold. Shame, shame. I know. Shame, shame. But so again, what I'm looking for here are any edges that were relatively untouched by the washes, and that's then where I'm going back and highlighting, so that way I can increase sort of the contrast there in between the sections. On all the scale plating, I'm really only looking for the brightest spots, and that's it. I want to leave the majority of the shadow work just so that it's more visible on the table. And then on the skull, just going around the eye socket, sort of this cheekbone, right? That's what that portion would be. And then the spikes, we'll do the top of the spikes, like so. Relatively easy peasy. Now then, we're going to take red neon glow, and we're going to paint a red neon glow. I know it's crazy. I try and keep these things predictable. I know that's not very predictable. I'm sorry. But I'm going to grab this color, which honestly, I don't even feel like this is red at all. I mean, come on. Let's call it what it is. All right? Neon peach. Okay? But it's cool. It's cool. We're going to call it what it says on the bottle. All right? It's fine. It's fine. It's cool. And really the trick here is we need to flood the eye sockets and flood the mouth. So I'm going to do it in multiple applications because I don't want it to like just go crazy on me. There we go. There we go. And then we can drop in some white directly into the pupils. And that will also intensify the glow effect, but I have to let that dry. And then this front portion here. Where's the... There it is, right there. Okay. Let's see, we'll highlight some things up. As we let that dry, let me grab something really quick. I just slammed that camera so hard. Oh, duh. All right. Where'd I go? Here it is. Moving things all over the room, man. I thought I had these somewhere else. Oh, that's an airbrush compressor. My bad. That was my batical. Alright, guys. So, anyway. Boom. Dum 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 dum. There you go, guys. What do you think about that? Does that look fun? Do you want to paint? I want to paint. Here is our dwarf. Our little dwarf guy. Oh yeah, the dwarf guy also has freehand striped pants. I didn't really mention that. So, I mean, you get to see a little bit more. A little 360 action going on here of the ReaperCon kit. Definitely pleased with how they all turned out. And it's another 5 miniature kit. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. And there's the ReaperCon Sophie. Wah, wah, wee, wah. Very fun. Very, very cool. Very fun. I like the shells. I think the shells are such a fun little addition to everything. And to think, I painted them freehand. Just kidding. They're real shells. That's fine. But I figured I'd show that off for you. That was really loud. It's really loud. All right, so I'm gonna get the white here. I'm just gonna add a dot of white into the eye. Very center to the best of our camera and hat club laden ability. All right. Now you got till December to pay off Bones. Bones 5, you'll be okay. I already paid for my pledge. There's not, unless they add a power up that I'm not expecting, then I'm done. There we go. Brighten it up. All right, guys. So I think that is it for today. I think this version is cooler. It's brighter. We've got more color variety. As always, right? We make changes every single time, and typically they turn out a little bit better. But yeah, that's it. Next week, what do you guys want to do next week? I think next week we'll paint up this guy. How about that? We'll do the Crusader next week. Lots of really classic, nice armor, and then really nice cloth. Really, really easy paint job. Really awesome sculpt. I believe this is Bobby Jackson. I could be wrong, but I think that's Bobby Jackson. Really, really nice stuff. And then, of course, we have the rest of the kit. After we paint him, we'll do the skeletal chimera here. So this one's really fun. And this one's a lot of washes. So at the very beginning, it'll be a little bit boring, but it is what it is. I'll use the airbrush to help dry it off a little bit quicker. And then, yeah, relatively simple. And then we've got the hero. And then, after that kit, the first miniature we're going to be painting is the ReaperCon Sophie sculpt. So remember, that'll be on the last day of the ReaperCon live convention. And it should be a blast. This weekend, nothing new for Patreon. Again, on Wednesday, we're going to be working on the box art project further on Patreon, so that'll be really exciting. I think there's 2 more sessions or 3 more sessions left until we finish this guy out. And that's relatively it. Last weekend, of course, we painted up a cart. This miniature was actually super refreshing. If you guys were wondering the size of the cart or anything like that for role-playing purposes, there you go. Now you know the size of the cart. So if you're wondering for the purchase, I think it looks good for scatter terrain, though. Really, really nice. So remember, go ahead and grab the next ReaperCon kit whenever it comes out. I think John said it should be coming out relatively soon. And that's pretty much it. So, are we rating anybody today, Justin?
Yeah, we are set up. Give me just 1 second here.
All right, so remember, make sure to check out... let me see this last question that came in. Do you put them together before painting or after painting? I only ever assemble before painting, period. The only times I don't is if it's something that I need to match both sides of, and assembling it would be difficult, or if it blocks a large section of the miniature. So a good example here, because I'm wanting to do like a box art level, very high quality paint job, I'm leaving this arm off because it was blocking the sword behind it, and then it also attaches to the foot, so I can't finish out the foot, and then it also just requires me to hold it a little bit differently, right? That's really the only time I wouldn't just fully assemble something. I'm always a proponent of only painting what you can see, so 9 times out of 10, if something is blocking your field of view from the way that you assembled something, whatever, it doesn't matter. So... but it looks like we're rating Shoshi, my friend Shoshi Bauer. Make sure, hey, when you hop in the chat, you say Josh sent us, please, all right? Let her know Josh sent you guys, and it'll make her day. So definitely go give her some love and say, hey, lady, looks great. So, anything else for us, Justin?
At this point, let's see. No, just catch the next show tomorrow at 11:30, which is Ann. Outside of that, no. Just make sure to follow us if you're not following us. Stay awesome. Spread the Reaper love and keep being cool and awesome. All the things. And tell Shoshi we said hi. Like Josh said. Thanks, guys.
Bye.